Symbiote.
They fixed that.
It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate, oh yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris Dillard.
And my name is Mike Royer.
And welcome to the official Superhero Slate review of Venom. We have not done one of these in a minute, Mike. It is about time we got to review another movie.
Yeah, that's right. Fall comes along, and every once in a while you get kind of like a sneaky backdoor superhero movie at this time, just before kind of winter rolls around and blows you away with like Harry Potter movies, Star Wars movies, other big blockbuster superhero movies.
That December 21st date that has like 18 movies on it, and you're like, which one do you go see? I don't know.
Yeah,
so
exactly. If you don't want to compete with the likes of Mary Poppins, you put your kind of weird movie in October because it's the only place it's safe. And Venom, I believe, did break a box office record for October, right?
It did. It is the highest grossing movie in October to date. Gravity had like 54 million, and this one came in with like well over 80.
Which I have to say I was surprised. I mean, it's not the greatest record to achieve because this movie did have $100 million budget, so it's still got a ladder to climb. I never thought this movie wasn't going to make any money, but I was surprised it would break any records. I just thought like Venom without being attached to Spider-Man just wasn't going to have enough like juice in it. But I guess it did have enough. I mean, this could be the whole reason why you just get like the most random superhero movies ever made, like Guardians of the Galaxy, just because people want that superhero content. So it almost doesn't even really matter what you do. It seems like you're going to turn a profit on no matter what.
That's debatable. We lived through Fantastic Four in 2015.
That's true. That would be curious to do like a retrospective on that movie to see if it did make any money at all. But here we are with Venom. It's finally out. It took me a little extra week to see it because I was out of the office, if you will, of the Superhero Slate offices. So maybe this has given time for people to go catch the movie if they haven't seen it yet. I saw it yesterday in a very interesting theater going experience just because the second weekend crowds are always very different than the first weekend crowds. So basically I lost half of my movie theater before the first end credit scenes ever came along, which was kind of funny. And then literally it was just me and one other guy in the theater sticking around for the second end credit scene. And we even looked over at each other. Then we looked behind us. The theater was empty, and I was like, I guess we're the only ones that know that there's a second end credit scene. It was like, yeah, I guess. So that was kind of hilarious.
Maybe those. I mean, do you think any of those people who left beforehand were return viewers who are like, I don't need to watch the end credit scene again?
God, I mean, I guess if I'm showing my hand here, I would say I don't know why you would want to go see this movie again. And I guess if we have to roll this into our spoiler-free thoughts here at the very top, we briefly touched on this in our regular news episode, but I thought this movie was bad. I mean, I guess if you had to put a label on it, I would say bad. If I had two stickers, bad and good, it would be the bad one. But it's the first time in a while I've seen a movie I didn't like that had some good parts in it. Venom and Tom Hardy, Eddie Brock. Surprisingly, a fun little relationship that they have going back and forth there. Sometimes Ed Hardy, not Ed Hardy.
Tom Holland? No, I'm kidding. Yeah.
Sometimes Eddie Brock is in the voice of Venom. Sometimes Venom is in the voice of Eddie Brock. And they have some fun back and forth there, running up and down buildings. There's a funny line in the movie where he calls him a naughty word, and it's a big joke, and then he goes down an elevator. We're not in the spoilers yet, but that's not ruining anything for you. So there is some glimmer of hopes in here, possibly for the character moving forward. But everything else about the movie I didn't like. So I know that you said you're a little less harsh on this movie, but I don't know, Chris. What do you have to add here, spoiler free?
Well, I mean, I think spoiler free. I mean, I think Mike is a little harder on this movie than I am by a little bit. I think there are parts that are, whatever, filler parts. I mean, there are characters that I just absolutely don't care for and don't need to be in here. And then there are other parts where I'm like, hey, this is really cool. Why I'm glad I get to experience this in the theater. That they didn't ruin actually a lot of it, some of it in the trailers, to be honest. some actual surprises along the way. Well, again, I think the first, like, it's a slow start by all means, and some other things, but I just think I come out not thinking this bad. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's earth changing, but it's better than anything Fox has done or Sony has done lately, or most of the DC movies by a long shot. So if we're comparing on a whole the superhero movies, this is right. I even think it's better than some of the lower tier Marvel movies, Mike. I would watch this over Thor: The Dark World every day.
The only thing I could really I could compare it to in my head is I haven't seen the original Hulk movie in a while. I don't remember if it's aggravatingly bad or if it's just mediocre and just everybody has forgot about it, but that's kind of what I think they should possibly do with Venom going forward. Just maybe no more Venom movies and just roll Tom Hardy into your other films and let other directors kind of play with them.
Do you mean Incredible Hulk or the Hulk from Ang Lee?
No, Incredible Hulk.
Okay. I think Incredible Hulk. Oh, that's a good question.
Ooh, really, that'd be like a fun versus think piece that somebody out there could put together.
I mean, you see a lot of parallels. You have one character with multiple personalities in the end fighting someone who looks almost just like him.
Yeah, transforms. There's like a tank mentality to it. There's a weak love interest that's running around trying to ancillarily save them that just doesn't work very well.
Right. Well, I think all in all. At the end of the day, I think if I was out of 10, I would say 6 out of 10. I think Mike is more on the 4 out of 10, if not less.
Yeah, I think that's fair. You really nailed it on the head. But honestly, I want to dive right in this movie. Yeah. I want to talk about the things that I actually loved and the things that I hated.
Yep. So, okay, from now on, the spoilers. So we have notes in there. You've heard our spoiler-free thoughts in all our episodes for the past 2 weeks, so it really doesn't matter at this point. If you're listening to this, obviously we're going to talk about it. I think just before I forget, Mike, the box office, as of right now, it's winning its second weekend. It has made almost 400 million worldwide. So we're gonna see a sequel.
It's not the most ravenous box office you've ever seen for a superhero movie, but it's out there.
But it's October.
It's out there working it. But at the same time, Chris, I guarantee if you look up the box office for the Amazing Spider-Man, the first Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movie, I'm sure that made money and that got a sequel. So
I think that's off name alone. I mean, we've always talked about movies we didn't ask for, characters, people, like who's Venom. I had a lot of parents ask me, like, do you think I should take my kids to see Venom? And I'm like, I don't really know.
We're not parents yet. Don't ask us those opinions. I don't know what children should be seeing and what they shouldn't be seeing. I know they shouldn't be seeing Deadpool. Yeah, don't take them to that.
That's true. Also, just quick look at Fantastic Four only made $167 million worldwide. On a $120 million budget.
That is way worse than I thought it was.
Yeah, that is the I think if we look in troubled superhero films here on box office, Green Lantern is made less, so that's where it is. But anyway, spoilers. Here we go, Mike.
Yeah, I think I can split this movie up pretty evenly in between things I liked and things that I didn't like.
Okay.
So number one, out of the park, I love the way Venom looks. When we finally get around to seeing Venom transform, it's actually really great. It was actually really shocking. It's the first time I perked up in my seat during the whole movie. And it's the scene that you see in the trailer when it comes up over his head and he's holding the guy up in the air in the middle of the street. That was great. And then he kind of runs up along the side of the wall. You can finally see him traversing, because we had kind of only seen him being stoic in all the trailers. And I'm just like, this is amazing. This is so cool watching Venom run amok. And the first thing that popped in my head was, oh man, I can't wait to see Tom Holland Spider-Man try to go up against this. He just looks so villainous, so terrorizing, that I can't wait to see him come up against
size,
a foe.
Man. It's just like that. Like seeing that Venom versus a tiny Tom Holland would be essentially the stuff comic books are made of. I agree.
Yeah, exactly. It was so cool seeing that, but unfortunately that first scene doesn't last very long. He just dives into the water and then all of a sudden he's not Venom anymore, so that was kind of unfortunate. I didn't mind Tom Holland. I mean, not Tom Holland. Oh my God, there's so many.
Eddie Brock. Just say Eddie Brock. We'll say Eddie Brock.
I love the weird idiosyncrasies Eddie Brock has. They're really weird and they're entertaining in this movie that I think is pretty boring when you're not seeing Venom itself. But it does not fit the character of a journalist in my head. Like, he's supposed to be kind of like this serious, hard-hitting journalist that's really protecting the city, cares about the people. We see this whole montage of all of his, like, kind of looks like some sort of like a news broadcasting show he's attached to, and he just does not seem like a hard-hitting journalist to me. So I think, honestly, maybe you just throw that origin out. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, I think he's more of a modern journalist than an actual, like we're not getting Tom Brokaw over here, talking about actual journalism. He's more of a shock jock, if I would say anything. A modern, like a I don't know. I mean, you've played the Spider-Man game, right? The new one. It's like J. Jonah Jameson in that one. Like, he's just a fucking shock jock kind of thing. He's out there to get people quote unquote woke without really doing a whole lot. I mean, it's a small portion of it. Can he? I mean, I think if we evolve it, like, how does it evolve into the next movie? How can that portion of him evolve? As we learned in the first credit scene, he's interviewing people and doing stuff. So, like, what does that mean going forward for Eddie Brock, and how does it help him with his Venom persona?
Yeah, I almost thought his persona or career as a journalist really made no difference to the movie. I mean, he had to have something at the beginning in order to lose it.
Yeah.
So it almost seemed like it didn't even need to be there. But if you just isolate, those parts, I think it's fun. I really liked how the symbiotes had kind of personalities at the very end of the movie. You kind of got to see Riot kind of having a conversation with Venom, and then, the hosts inside of them didn't really matter. I thought that was kind of cool. It almost made it very cosmic very quickly. They're kind of talking about, like, the structures of what it's like kind of being a symbiote and their plans. I thought that was kind of neat.
You're 100% right, and I just think they should have fucking palette swapped Riot for something other than black and white. I mean, I love that, Venom's like, right, he's got some badass weapons, like stuff you've never seen before kind of thing. And yeah, he really did. But I agree with you. I like it.
But, like, we saw what he had, though, in the previous scene. So I was expecting something really cool and really interesting, but, like, dude, we just saw 5 minutes ago that he can turn his stuff into blades. Like, you're not surprising
but
the
I saw, like,
audience.
the hammer, like the I guess the mace, like the Venom mace he made with his hand, like all the stuff, like, yeah, but he had better fighting thing, and Venom was just agile pretty much, which is a weird transition for Venom being the fast, speedy one in a fight. I gotta say, in terms of good, before we move on here, I love him versus the SWAT team. Venom versus the SWAT team in the building that he was breaking into.
Yeah, that was fun watching him toss these dudes around.
Well, like, when he catches the grenade thing and just bites it with his mouth, I think that was a really, like, good display of Venom's power. Like, yeah, your traditional weapons aren't going to do anything to me. The bullets go into the suit, and he can just throw them around. Except for the flashbangs, of course, which are one of his weaknesses. I thought that scene was really... I loved to see more of those scenes in that regard than what we got, because no, go ahead.
I would have loved to see those scenes go the extra mile. So this is kind of where we run into PG-13 and rated R, and whatever discussion we want to make what it was supposed to be or what it was intended to be. They specifically make mention to biting heads off. Like, it's not even inferred. There's literally characters that say, "Oh my god, I bit his head off. You bit his head off. I bit a dude's head off." Like 4 or 5 times it is directly referenced that this character is decapitating people. And just before it happens, the camera cuts and you just kind of see, like, a amorphous body thrown to the side. Like, man, I would have loved to see that. That would have been so cool. And it just felt like they were cutting just before we got to see the good stuff. And, like, this is just directly what I was worried about when it came to this PG-13 rating. And it felt like those scenes were neutered. Now, if this movie was intended to be PG-13 from the beginning, I feel like they just would have worked their way around the whole decapitation thing to begin with. They just wouldn't have included it in the movie, or they maybe would have found a better way to stage it or frame the shots. That, specifically when I watched those scenes, seemed like a rated R movie that was toned down to air on TBS on the weekends during their movie night, So that was one thing that was really frustrating. Who knows if that is speculation or what it is, but that is one point in the movie that would have been elevated if it was rated R.
I don't care. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't care. Like, I don't need to see the blood and the head and the fucking. I don't need. It doesn't matter. You get the. Like, we can infer from it anyway. Like, I don't need to see it. It doesn't make a difference to me. And I think if it had gone rated R, it would not have made this much money in and of itself. I think we would not have seen record. Like, I think word of mouth is getting more people to go to this movie, and also the titles Venom Breaks Records is getting out there. And if it had gone rated R, it would have made maybe a quarter of what it's made now. If that.
I mean, who knows? I mean, we kind of thought the same thing about Deadpool that came out in February of all months, and that knocked it out of the park. And Deadpool was just as almost unproven as Venom was at that point in time.
But I think you have Ryan Reynolds, and the marketing for Deadpool is way different than the marketing for Venom.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could point to the marketing there on that. That was different.
They were everyone was talking about the Deadpool marketing because. You got, the Ryan Reynolds or the Deadpool on the rug in front of the fire kind of like they were going all out on that stuff. People were talking about it whether they were going to watch the movie or not. Mm-hmm. I don't think other than families saying like, asking me, hey, can my kids see Venom? To me, nobody else was like, I'm really excited to go see Venom. I don't know. I don't think to me what I think the Anne Weighing whatever her last name is, played by Michelle Williams,
the love interest
is I don't even know if I call her that at this point. She had like two men at the same time, dude. She's the worst part of this movie.
Oh God, but disposable.
But she had the biggest surprise to me when she showed up with the Venom symbiote to save Eddie in the like. I will give him that scene with her, but that is it.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. It wasn't what I was expecting because when you see like the tendrils coming through the forest, you're like, well, what's doing that?
I thought it was the dog. I thought it was going to be the Venom dog.
Yeah, but then also, that would be. But it begs the question of, there's a lot of weird symbiote rules that aren't really answered or explained very well. Like sometimes the symbiote will kill you. Sometimes it'll just go inside of you and like make you do things. But sometimes it will show itself. Sometimes it like kills the host directly. But when it does that, sometimes the symbiote can just die on the floor. It was never really clear what makes a good host and what doesn't. And I think the two things in this movie that really bothered me the most that I think will kind of wrap up most of my ideas about this film was the villain was garbage. I don't like Riz Ahmed.
Yeah, I mean,
that played
he's so cookie cutter.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, can't you see that this world is falling apart around us? We only have a certain amount of time left. I must go to the extremes of saving the planet. And it frustrated me on two ends. Is he was just so generic and so throwaway. And even when he becomes like right at the very end, like you said, it's just like a slightly palette swap difference of Venom, and he's like a little bit bigger. So the villainy in the movie really bothered me. But the biggest part that bothered me about that is what it could have been. Could you imagine what they could have done with the origins of Venom and the villains if this just could have been included in the MCU? Like, just imagine, they could have made a better deal, or maybe they would have played nicer with, Sony, or maybe if Sony didn't get greedy and tried to make this whole, like, villain universe. Like, it would have been so eloquently easy to introduce Venom and the symbiote into the MCU because you already have, like, space introduced. We've already seen spaceships. We've already seen some aliens come to Earth. It would have been just so easy to get this going. And the first half of this movie is so slow. It just would have been like an injection into this that could have just gone right to 88 miles an hour. And that's what I would have loved to see. So it's like not only was the villain like boring and frustrating, but it's just like knowing what potentially it could have been under the rights and contracts, and if maybe different lawyers were involved. Man, that was frustrating to me.
I don't like to live in speculation of what could have been. I mean, this is what we have, and this is what we got to deal with. And if they want to reboot it, and Marvel wants to do it in like 3 years, yeah, they'll do it, because the turnaround time between Amazing Spider-Man 2 and his appearance in Civil War was very quick. Like, they didn't waste any time on that, man. That was like, under 2 years, I think? Mm-hmm. So if they want to do it, that's fine, but what we got is what we got. What I don't care for, this will never, unless they retcon it or say it's an accident, this movie can no longer fit in the MCU. Because Eddie Brock has never heard of aliens before, and the event in New York is very widely known and talked about forever after the first Avengers movie. So that, unless they fix that, that's one thing. But there's also a big plot hole. I don't know if you noticed this, and it bothered me. right out the get-go, the symbiote who actually lands on Robbie Jameson, who was J. Jonah Jameson's son, actually who went to the Asian lady and then the little kid. Like, it spends, 6 months trying to get from Asia to the Life Foundation because they did that 6-month time jump. And the thing I hate the most, I hated the Carnage scene.
Oh, God. What a throwaway. Oh, we have a serial killer. Throw him in some sort of cage and have him be weird.
That's fine. Don't give Woody Harrelson a bright red fucking carrot top wig and then his last line fucking hamming it up worse than any Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider line ever. There's gonna be carnage. I wonder what the sequel is. God damn it. I mean, I just that was probably one of my biggest disappointments because I think there's more hype for Carnage than there is for Venom as a whole. But I agree with you. The first 30 minutes of this movie is slow as balls, man. It is so slow.
I can't believe. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it actually was 30 minutes, but to me, it felt like an hour.
It was it's about the 30 minutes, and then what I don't get, where is the transition from? He's like, okay, Eddie, we're gonna stay together and we're gonna try to fix this, and then the next scene, he's in the woods. He's like, okay, I want to stay on Earth now.
Yep, Chris, you're dovetailing into exactly how I was going to wrap up my thoughts.
The second act is gone in this movie, and I think I said that in the last. It goes literally from 30 miles an hour cruise control to fucking 90, and I'm like, what? If they did cut 30 or 40 minutes from this movie, I guarantee you it was the entire second act of this movie. That's what it was.
My biggest pet peeve of all entertainment, televisions, movies, what have you, is character motivations. I get so frustrated when characters make decisions that have not been earned or make no sense. And when all of a sudden Venom's just like, I think I'm going to be good now. And she's like, oh, why are you going to be good? Well, it's because I'm also like a loser on my planet too. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it. When did that
happen?
Yeah, it's just like, we don't know anything about your planet. But then he's just like, whoa, really? Well, actually, no, I'm going to stay because of you, Eddie. And it's just like, really? That is just the weakest way to turn your villain into a good guy, and that just really frustrated me. And like once that happened in the movie, I was like, yeah, they're not really going to be able to redeem themselves, because that's a big moment. Like, that's not just a big moment for your film, that's a big moment for your freaking franchise that you're trying to build off on. Like, why is Venom here? Why is he trying to be a good guy? Like, it would have been funnier if like maybe chemically or medically or cosmically, like Venom was just bonded to Eddie, and he, like if he left he would die or something like that, so they're just kind of stuck together like Odd Couple wise. But making the conscious decision to like fight riot and destroy all of the people that you've known for your whole life, your Venom society that came in on a comet, like, come on, that's just stupid.
Where is the flashback to these other, like, I wanted to see the Venom planet and all these other hundreds of millions of symbiotes that they kind of talked about. I would have liked to see that. And the whole side, like, yeah, character motivation was probably in hindsight like the stupidest thing, but all in all, I don't hate it as much as other movies I've absolutely hated watching. I know you probably feel different, but I mean I've seen some bad movies, and I know you have as well. But I mean, there are movies I'm just like, So when you have to suspend that disbelief for a little bit, like I'm like, okay, he's a loser too, apparently now. Where did this come from? But whatever. Go in and fight your dude. I think it reminded me of the end of Iron Man 1 when the love like you said, the secondhand Pepper Potts comes in and slaps the button that saves the day on the rocket. But I don't know. I'm excited to see where it goes from there on out. And I mean, we're gonna get something else. I almost guarantee it. I think Morbius is the next in this universe. But I think a Venom sequel might come out. I think they'll probably, hopefully, react to the criticisms and go from there.
Let's get Edgar Wright directing Venom 2. That's the only thing that's going to invigorate me. You got to get a big hit director doing something cool.
I don't even think that. I think you get a horror director, Mike. Like, horror director. Like, this movie should be horror if it's going to be Carnage. Like,
then make it rated R.
If we start here, but I mean, like, Carnage will be more of the brutal murder person. Venom was just eating people because of that. Oh, we also didn't mention they changed symbiote to symbiote in ADR, and it was pretty blatant. Like, I don't know. It's definitely sounded different.
Yeah, don't mess with the nerds.
Yeah,
we'll get you on. We'll catch you on that pronunciation.
Yeah, but I think if they're gonna go the sequel in Carnage, yeah, they can go R because Carnage is a psychopath murderer. Like Venom's not a psychopath murderer. He's not like dismembering people for dismemberment's sake. So yeah, you go the Carnage radar. You got to do it, but I think you lean into the horror. Like you've got to scare the piss out of people in this movie, Mike. Like this can't just be another generic action adventure movie with aliens. You've got to really lean into that and be like, okay, there's got to be some body horror. There's got to be some mutilation, some bloods. If that is the way they go in the sequel, hopefully they do. I'm not known a franchise to change ratings in the middle of it. So I'm not too hopeful for this, but I mean that would be one way to probably gain a lot of goodwill and good faith in the movie franchise as a whole. Lastly, that second end credit scene.
That was fun because it had nothing to do with the movie.
They gave you a little Sony palette cleanser with Into the Spider-Verse clip.
Yeah, I almost didn't want to watch it because I was like, I'm gonna go see this movie anyway. I don't want it spoiled. But they picked a really funny moment in it, and it kind of started off gloom. But like watching Miles dangle Peter,
yeah, on the subway, and
and then what did the radio come over? We got Spider-Man dragging a homeless corpse through the city.
Yeah,
like that was just hilarious. I can't wait for that movie, man. That's going to be a great spoiler cast.
It's going to be great. And then the trailer came out, I think, that week as well that you didn't talk about, and it was Spider-Ham and voice of John Mulaney.
I saw that trailer before the movie started, and it was a great way to see that trailer for the first time. Yeah, let's just talk about Spider-Verse and Teen Titans Go to the Movies for the rest of the year. And
yeah,
I'm probably just going to forget about this one, just like I forgot about Solo.
Let's hey, I like Solo. I haven't bought it yet, but I liked it. If you want to, I don't know if we'll ever do a review for Teen Titans Go to the Movies, but I would love to sit down and talk about that with you. But all in all, I mean, it sounds like, again, I'm a 6 and you're a 4 out of 10 on this. So I make up your own mind. Watch the movie if you want to watch it. If you don't, you're probably okay. If you do,
yeah, I want to know what other people think. Let us know.
Yeah, but that's really about it. Anything else, Mike? That it?
I think that's it for the hot takes for today.
Oh, so hot. So many takes. If people want to know what you're up to and if you go happen to see any other... Well, I guess Daredevil. We might do a Daredevil review. Maybe that'll be our next one. If people want to know your thoughts on Daredevil when that comes out, where can they find you at?
Well, as always, you can follow me at Mike Royer Design on Twitter and Instagram, and you can read my webcomics at pickledcomics.com. Chris, if people want to find you, where are you at out there?
Twitter, Valdan, Valdan. Instagram, Valdan87. Also, Comic UI. If people want to know more about all the other shows we do on a weekly basis, pretty much our regular news show, where can people find those at?
Well, as always, please visit superheroslate.com. That's the best place to find all the avenues we host our show, because every week we do a weekly news show. So you should subscribe so you can catch up with all the news out there. And you can find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Google Podcasts, yeah, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram. Also, Chris, I have a parasite in me, okay? It's really hard to get all this stuff out at the end. I got to get this stuff fixed.
You got tapeworm?
Yeah. So you can get merch also at superheroslate.com/store. If you're a fan of the show, we love hearing from you. Reach out, drop us a comment in our YouTube videos, send us a tweet. Let us know if you liked our review, if you hated our review, who you agree with, me or Chris. Or maybe you love this movie. If you're a weirdo and you think this movie's a 10 out of 10 and is going to win Best Picture, I specifically want to hear from you. But that's how we do. We love our super fans. Share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy, and we will be here every week.
Yeah, we will be, and we'll be catching you guys next week with news and maybe some reviews in the upcoming months as these winter months get colder for us here in the Americas. So we'll catch you guys in.
All right, adios.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.
Like a turd in the wind.